All right, welcome back to Hire Rockstar Talent, the Badass Podcast. I read this article about this guy that is implementing something pretty incredible. He's trying to do a 3-day work week to retain his employees, to engage his employees. And he's doing 14-hour shifts, 3 days a week. And this debate has been going on for a while about the 5-day work week, the 4-day work week. And most of the times when you hear about it, it's not in industries that I'm in. It's not in the QSR, it's not in retail. It's always in like an office setting. It's always in a situation where people are working from home or something like that, right? So they're being given a bunch of tasks and they have, checklists that they got to go through and they have these deliverables. It's not like the restaurant business. The restaurant business is we do things on demand. Customers come when they come, so we have to be open a certain period of time. Now we do have peak times and some of it is predictable, but for the most part, people just come in when they come. So, some days we gear up to have a ton of business and we don't. And then other days we think it's going to be slower and it's busier. So the business is just very haphazard. That's the restaurant business. But this guy is QSR. So, every time I've heard these debates, I'm like, won't work in our industry. And then I read this article and boom, there's a guy doing it in our industry. But I'll tell you, this guy has a very unique restaurant. It's not anybody listening to this. You don't have a restaurant like this guy. Now, unless USA Today, that's where I read the article and I'll put the link down below. Unless they're lying in the article, they said this guy was on track to do $17 million in sales this year. And I'm saying to myself, that's like 3,000 transactions, because don't forget, Chick-fil-A is only open 6 days a week, not 7. 3,000 transactions, that's like $56,000 a day in sales. I don't see it. Now, I'm sure that there's some Chick-fil-A's like in New York, like downtown, Manhattan or something that would do these kind of sales, but I just don't see it. But that's what it said in the USA Today article, so that's what I'm quoting to you. So, but anyway, dude, $17 million a year? Hell yeah. Good for you, brother. I want to be you. So rock on. You can do that. I can't even fathom doing that in 4 walls. That's like amazing. For the rest of us, let's come back down to planet Earth. The rest of us, I think this 3-day or even 4-day work week thing is a fantasy. And what I mean by that is working full time. 40 plus hours a week in 3 days or 4 days. Because there's a lot of employees that work 4 days, but they work 18 hours a week or 20 hours a week. This guy's talking about giving people full time for a 3-day work week. And I understand his theory is that, they can take the other days and they can go plan their life and do all this stuff. And I think it's forward thinking, agreed, right? But it just, I don't think our employees in the restaurant business are disciplined enough. You can go picket and you can do all this crazy stuff on social media. You can post how bosses suck and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, employees aren't consistent. They don't do what they say many times. There are some that do, right? And that's our core. That's our rockstar core that helps us run the business. But a majority of our employees are inconsistent. They don't do what they say. And managers have to pick up the slack and the pieces for all these people. And this is why so much stress and pressure gets put on the management because of people just like this. So let's talk about a few reasons why there's no freaking way that a 3-day work week or a 4-day work week is ever going to work in the restaurant business, right? So we just started talking about it. People don't have the stamina. We get people with a lot of different levels of education and work ethic, but a lot of people are missing this one little piece. I read this book called Grit, and it really turned me on to why some people win and some people don't. And in this book, what they did is they followed around a bunch of people that went to West Point. Right? Now, West Point's the best of the best, right? This is the best people in the country. You can't even get into the school and apply unless you have a politician or some super high level executive give you a recommendation. And he would have had to have gone to the school already. So it's a very closed window, but they still get, thousands of candidates for 10 or 12 spots or 20 spots or whatever they bring in for their curriculum. And what they noticed is they followed around this lady, Angela Duckhart, I think is her name. She followed around these students, and the ones that most likely to succeed ended up failing. They ended up quitting. And the people that you never thought would make it made it all the way through. And she really dug into why, right? And it was this thing that they had more grit than other people. Now, I'm not going to get into all the details of the grit. You have to read the book for that. But a lot of people are missing this one piece. They're missing the part where they win and persevere above everything else. And a big part of it is because they're not problem solvers, right? They don't have the skill set to solve problems. Now, they can go, again, pick it and do all that stuff, but at the end of the day, do you do what you say, right? And that's the problem. So now we put on someone a 14-hour shift, and what happens halfway through the shift? They start complaining, they start getting irritable, they start getting frustrated, right? And this spills out into our customers. And then what? We end up having to send them home. So if we're sending someone home 2/3 of the way through their shift because they asked for it, what are we doing? We're right back where we started, right? So now the next part is, will they actually go have that life that they're talking about? If you actually work 3 days and you work full time in those 3 days, are you going to take off the other 4 days? Again, very small percentage, I think, will do it. Most people won't. Most people think, and they think they're invincible. I can almost see the TV commercial now that would market this. You got like the person walking in the park and they're walking their dog and they're playing frisbee. It's kind of like all these medical commercials, right? These pill commercials. They're surfing. 73-year-old guy, he's out there surfing. They're paddleboarding or something. Someone's playing like chess in the park with their kid or with their friends. But it's a crock. It's never going to happen. What they're going to do is they'll do a few things. They'll clean up a few things around the house, and then they'll go get a second job. Now, right now, most people in this country, many people are working 2 jobs because of inflation, and they still, even with the 1 job, can't afford to pay their bills. So people are going to get a second job. Now, what's going to happen when they get a second job? Now they have 2 masters, and someone's going to lose at some point. At some point, a ball gets dropped. Now, is it your 14-hour shift that gets dropped? If it is, you're in trouble. Would you come in on your day off to cover someone else's 14-hour shift? I think no. So you're going to have to convince multiple people to cover that shift, or you got to cover it yourself. So why are we doing this in the first place? So your trust level to put someone on a 14-hour shift multiple times a week, and then what are they going to want? They're not going to want to lose those hours. They just lost 2/3 of their entire week's pay. So they're going to want you to just move them to another day. Oh, I see. So we're supposed to now be short today and then be overloaded another day because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Now, maybe you were sick or something. I get it. It happens, right? But most of the time, you could tough through it. If I said to you there was $1 million on the roof and you broke your leg, you'd figure out a way to get up on the roof. See, but when we say this kind of stuff, then we're bad bosses, right? We harass people. We're these assholes. But yet, you signed up for it. You asked us to do something. You signed up for it. You said you would be there, and then you didn't do it. And because of it now, we can't get frustrated. You just disrupted our entire world, right? But this is what happens with people, and they don't see it. When this happens, right, and we have to constantly, if we take you now and you were working 5 or 6 days a week and now we move you to a 3-day shift, even though you can work a long shift, we're going to have gaps and holes. So what that means is we're going to have to bring on some more people. Now, it's very dangerous when we bring on more people, because when we bring on more people, we have to feed those people. We have to feed them hours. So what eventually is going to happen at some point, if the sales don't support it, we're going to have to make a decision. So could you make the decision to want to try working 3 days a week, multiple people on your schedule, and then now it has a reverse effect, and now you can't even give people the 40 hours. Or you have to fire someone to make room for everybody else. So see, there's a domino effect that happens when you do these things. Now, in that Chick-fil-A guys, if his sales are where they really say they are, he needs people. Like, hell, man, you need more people. But let's talk about like what happens when you have if you said, hey man, I want to do this, I want to work 3 days a week, but I can only work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday, whatever it is. And then you request that day off. Do we just resort back? So see, it's not going to work for everybody. It's only going to work for a select few people. Because now, this person request, they're a regular, right? It's nice to talk about a consistent schedule. It's nice to say, hey, I only work these days. How many times does someone come to you, they asked for a consistent schedule, you put them on a consistent schedule, and then they make a doctor's appointment slap right in the middle? If you wanted a consistent freaking schedule, then why didn't your ass work around your schedule and schedule the doctor's appointment on the off day? But see, that's not what happens with people. What happens with people is, oh good, I got a doctor's appointment, I'm gonna grab it. Oh, by the way, yes, I know I was supposed to work a 7 to 5 shift today, but I got a doctor's appointment at noon. So this is everything that there's going to constantly be wrenches thrown in this. If you were to do this, it would not be perfect. And I just want you to understand that, you know, sometimes the juice has to be worth the squeeze, and I don't think in this case it's worth it. So let's talk about another one, call out. And we started alluding to this in the beginning, but if someone calls out for work on a 14-hour shift, imagine if you had 2 call outs. Oh, Mingya, right? If you had 2 call outs right at the beginning of your shift, now there's nothing you can do, and good luck trying to get someone in on their day off. Imagine that you had to cover 2 multiple 14-hour shifts. I don't know if you could pull enough people out of thin air to do that. I mean, you have to be a very talented manager with a heck of a culture where people cover each other. Now, that would be the other thing, right? Are these people covering themselves when they do this? Because if they're not, because there's a lot of coordination in there, and it has to be the right person. You know, what if you got someone on your schedule that just says yes, and they grab that shift, but you already scheduled them 40 hours, and they covered a 14-hour shift on their day off. Now they have 14 hours of OT. Ugh. I could just see the problems, the problem after problem after problem. What about other things? Like what if they had a babysitter? I mean, they brought their kid to a daycare center. Say it's a single parent, right? And the daycare center gets out at 6, but their 10-hour or 14-hour shift puts them past 6 o'clock. Do they have to stop? You have to let them leave. They have to bring the kid there. You're just causing all kinds of problems, and you know it's never going to work. You know, this was built for an office setting, like we said before, but there's no way that 3-day work weeks, 14-hour shifts are ever going to work in the restaurant industry. If one restaurant operator is able to make it work, it'll be for a few people. It won't be for his entire team. There's no way. All right, ciao for now. I'll see you next week.